Welcome to Justice for, a true crime podcast hosted by two besties from Colorado. We're focused on bringing justice to the victims by telling their stories. New episodes release every single Tuesday, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and the follow button anywhere that you can find us, and you'll get updates on all of our new episodes.
Just a warning, this podcast does contain adult language and adult themes, such as assault and abuse of varying forms, so please listen and watch with discretion. You know the cliche, popular cheerleader meets jock, they rule the high school, then go off to college together, get married, have babies, and live happily ever after. Well, what happens when the perfect couple isn't so perfect anymore? How well do we really know the people in our lives? You think the longer you know someone or the earlier in life you meet them, you would truly know who they are. That's the question an entire town had when a local widow was charged with fraud and her husband's murder. How did the local high school sweethearts end in such tragedy? Welcome back to Justice For. We're your hosts. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Sam.
So, we have actually touched on today's case in one of our WTF episodes.
Really quick, you and I are going on 2 decades of knowing each other. Do I know you that well?
You left me for like 4 years. I might have changed a little bit in that time.
In the 4 years.
I might have gathered some secrets.
Your hair's not big enough.
Valid.
I'm sorry, go on. Okay.
No, but that actually is a really good point. We have known each other for a really long time.
Almost 2 decades. I was trying to go back to find old pictures of us, and I found a few, but not like before I left.
Well, yeah.
That wasn't our thing then. We didn't just
but we did.
We did.
And I just feel like those digital cameras don't exist anymore.
I bet they're those MySpace pages.
Probably. Or on a parent's computer. No, like our digital cameras that we had back then, not our phones, because we're old. My phone, when I met you, didn't even have a camera on it, I don't think.
Girl, I don't know.
Anyway, that was a little sidetrack. So, today's episode.
No, if we find a picture of us, we'll put it here for you guys.
Yes, right here.
It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be great. Baby Sam and Jackie.
Oh yeah, we were babies.
Hey babies.
Hey babies. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Back to the episode. Yeah. All right. So we have actually touched on this case in one of our WTF episodes. And we had a lot of feedback asking for a full-length episode before trial starts. So buckle up, because we're going back to my favorite place to bring up. Good old West Virginia. If you haven't guessed already, we're going to be talking about Michael and Natalie Cochran today. So, Michael Cochran was born on December 23rd, 1980. And Michael was your typical West Virginia boy. He loved hunting and fishing and played every sport he could growing up. And when I say every sport, I mean it. Baseball, football, basketball, he wrestled. He loved playing sports. And that didn't end after high school. He went on to play sports in college. And after college, he ended up coaching youth sports and leagues, middle school, high school, baseball leagues, whatever it was. He was just always involved in them. His kids also played sports as well that he coached. He was just very passionate about that part of the community. So when Michael was in high school, he met Natalie Jessup at a local mall. She worked there, and they attended separate high schools. She was a cheerleader, and he was your all-around jock. And they soon began dating.
Meeting people at the mall, though.
I know, right?
Ugh.
What a time. Now if you meet someone at the mall, you're probably going to get murdered.
I read an article the other day that was like, why are malls so deserted? Like, how am I supposed to answer this? I don't know.
I don't.
Online shopping, that's why.
We don't trust the world to drop our teenagers there for hours at a time.
Bro, I had the best time at malls, though. All the time.
Listen, when I was in middle school, they opened up one of the first van skate parks at the mall in my town, and it was like the best thing ever. We would just hang out at the mall for hours.
I went on dates at the mall.
Yes. I wouldn't even know where to go on a date.
Let's just go to the mall and hang out. Ugh.
Now that sounds awful.
God, I still think, just maybe right now. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
It sounds like spending a lot of money. I have a preteen.
Dude, there's not even stores in malls anymore.
I have a preteen.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
They can find a store, anything, anywhere. Okay, so Michael decided to attend WVU after high school, which is West Virginia University. And Natalie was planning on going to Concord University, but she abandoned those plans to follow Michael. And oddly enough, Michael actually he had the idea when he started to go to school for pharmacy, but he switched careers and ended up doing like a business degree. And Natalie actually got a doctorate in pharmaceutical. Interesting, right? They actually ended up getting married while they were in college and went on to have 2 beautiful children. And as the children grew up, Michael's very involved in coaching their youth sports and as well as the local middle and high schools in Daniels, West Virginia, where they settled after college. And it's just a small town outside of Beckley, West Virginia. And Beckley's one of the larger towns in West Virginia. And Natalie worked as a pharmacist from 2013 to 2017 at a place called Access Health. And she ended up quitting there in June of 2017 because her and Michael created 2 businesses. And the businesses were Tactical Solutions Group and Tactical Management Solutions. And I'm going to refer to them as TSG and TSM from here on out because I'm not saying that again.
What is it?
Oh, I'm going to tell you.
Oh.
So first off, I want to say that Natalie was the majority owner of these businesses, and she proudly stated that it was a woman-owned business. It was on the website. She was very proud that she made this woman-owned business. And so what did these businesses do? They supposedly provided guns to the U.S. Department of Defense by bidding on government contracts. And that sounds like super expensive and complicated, right? Well, that's where the investors came into play. So, Natalie began approaching friends and families with this new investment opportunity. She had told them that TMS and TSG acted as brokers for government contracts and that they could invest in contracts that were awarded to the companies. Then they would receive a return on their investment through the profits of the government contract work that TMS and TMG did. And soon people were investing tens of thousands of dollars and then hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're talking doctors or dentists or just folks who've saved their whole lives in this small town in West Virginia. We are not in the Hamptons. We are not in LA. We're not in New York.
That's why people get killed so much.
Yeah. So you chuckled a little bit.
I did.
Real quick. I'm sorry. I live in Colorado Springs where we have, I can't even count the number of military bases. 5. Oh God, I just got the number over here. 5 military bases. And I'm sorry. I wouldn't even trust anybody in this town to come up to me with that investment opportunity. No. At all. That would never.
Are there any bases near where they lived? Do you know?
Google. Beckley, West Virginia.
Beckley, West Virginia.
I don't think. Oh, don't come for me, my family. Please don't come for me right now.
Y'all had other things to worry about than military bases.
All right, so while we have a Google going on that, and that was June of 2017. So I'm going to move up to September of 2017.
I just had a thought really quick before we get into this. Like, the government's not just going to trust, like,
a pharmacist,
Joe Schmo,
a pharmacist and a youth league coach to suddenly handle government contracts with. Okay.
Like, they're just, we made this business, you guys. Women owned. Except the government hates
But there was a website.
If you have a uterus, they hate you.
There's a website, though.
Okay.
So, in September 2017, Natalie approached Donna and Eddie Bolt, and this is Michael's mom and stepdad, and she approached them about investing. And she tells them how her parents have invested already, and she just wants to help them earn money. So Donna and Eddie, fully trusting and loving their daughter-in-law, invested their entire life savings in retirement of almost $250,000. But as time went on, they weren't seeing any returns in their investments. When they questioned Natalie, she produced documents showing them their quarterly earnings and told them that the government had frozen transactions, but their investments were still making money. And she was showing them this. And although the investors weren't seeing any physical returns, as in money back in their accounts, Natalie and Michael were living a very lavish lifestyle. They bought a few properties, 3 to be exact, and were going on vacations, bought a few cars, including a 1965 Shelby Cobra, and they bought 2 hangars in the Raleigh Memorial Airport, because we're in Raleigh County. And
you can buy hangars.
Yeah, you can buy hangars in the
I guess
airport.
that makes sense if you have like a private plane and shit. Okay.
And they seem to be doing really well with this new business adventure. Like, really well. But by early 2019, Michael was becoming suspicious of the businesses when his parents' investment still hadn't seen a return. And it had been almost 2 years. And although Natalie had been producing bank statements and documents, he started insisting on more information, not just from Natalie, but the U.S. Department of Defense as well. Natalie then produced documents showing their investments doing well, once again, but because of a government shutdown, none of the money could be transferred right now.
Fuck off. I don't know what else to say but that. Just fuck off.
Okay, so on February 6th, 2019, Michael has a seizure at home, and he hits his head as he falls. But Natalie doesn't call 911 or rush him to the hospital like you would do if somebody has a seizure and falls and hits their face on a counter.
I mean, she's in the medical world though, so
I'm a pharmacist.
Okay, pharmacists still know shit though. Literally, you have to have a doctorate to get that shit. So I mean, they know shit. Granted, yes, you should have actually got a doctor that works in a hospital or office.
Well,
but
let me tell you a little bit else of what she did.
Okay.
So instead, she cared for him at home. And during this time, several people were in and out of the house. And a close friends of theirs, who were a couple, came over, and they just happened to be a physician's assistant, and the husband was a state trooper. Both friends of Natalie and Michael. And she told them that she was providing adequate medical care to Michael. And
there you go.
There's no actual military bases in West Virginia. See, so, okay, we have a little, but still, common sense. Yeah.
Not like
full-blown
here.
Like we have.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does he normally have seizures?
No.
Proceed.
And so they left after being there for a little bit. And later that day, Natalie called local attorney and family friend, and he was also a neighbor, Chris Davis, over. And once he saw Michael's condition, he immediately called for transport for Michael to the hospital. Not Natalie. Chris. Like, upon seeing him, Michael...
I just imagine him walking in like, what the fuck?
I could just see
that's
being
what I would
like,
do.
It's fine. I'm taking care of him. It's okay. So Michael's taken to Raleigh General Hospital, and he would then be transferred to Charleston Area Medical Center, and finally to Bowers Hospice House, where Michael passed away on February 11th, 2019. Let's do the math.
Please.
That's 5 days from seizure at home to dying in hospice. And let me remind you, Michael is 38 years old.
Ugh.
He's active, and Michael's manner of death was determined to be natural, which is pretty standard for deaths in hospice, because he died in hospice.
Do they not do, like, autopsies and shit in hospice? Especially, like, a 38-year-old, you think they would expect, like, I mean, I understand maybe not just because you do get put in a hospice, like, knowing what the hell you're going in there for, but it's also usually, like, sorry, old people.
I think that it might be if there's an autopsy requested, and you guys are going to find out why she probably didn't request one of those.
Okay.
So Natalie held no viewing, no funeral,
Mm.
just a private graveside service that included a priest, her kids, and some family. Family was quoted saying that it seemed really rushed.
Mm-hmm.
And Natalie said that it was what Michael wanted. She was just fulfilling his wishes.
Right, because he likes to be a recluse. He doesn't coach teams or
You know,
anything.
he wouldn't want everybody to be able to be there, all
Right.
the kids
Right,
and all
right,
the
right,
other
right.
things. So, in May following Michael's death,
Yeah.
Natalie went to 2 different schools, Shady Springs High School and Independence High School. And I'd like to know Independence High School is where Michael graduated from. And she presented students with scholarships that promised a full ride up to 8 years and $7,500 in annual personal spending. She called it the Coach Michael Cochran Legacy Scholarship. She told a reporter at the Register Herald that it was a way to honor her husband, who was very involved as a coach in youth leagues, and she wanted something good to come out of something bad. And that of all these students had either, and all the students that she gave these scholarships for either reached out to her or knew Michael on a personal level. And she gave out a total of 8 scholarships, 2 of them going to her nieces. And parents said that these scholarships, it was really weird. So there's like this presentation at the school. She gets up on stage and she like presents the idea of the scholarship to them. But all the parents were like, her vibe was just really off. It just like, it didn't seem, I don't like genuine, like it just felt weird. You know,
Okay.
like when you're like listening to something, you're like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Just one of those things. And because there was no application process for it. You know how scholarships like have an application, normally you have to have like certain grades or certain
Yes.
sports or something like that. There was none of that. It was, you just asked her and she said, okay. So, and it was to any school, in-state, out-of-state, community, university, full ride, 8 years, any degree, $7,500 in personal spending a year.
Okay.
Weird, right? So,
I have so many questions.
I know, and we're going to go back
Okay,
because
I
I will
know.
answer them.
I know.
So then in July of 2019, I know we're skipping a little bit,
It's
but
fine.
I can't add things because they won't make sense. So in July of 2018, a federal civil case was filed against Natalie. What could this be for? Well,
And who did it?
the feds, the FBI. Federal civil case was filed against her by the FBI.
Got it.
And because of this, they also at the same time seized 3 of her properties.
The 3 they bought?
Mm-hmm. And told her that she was being investigated for wire fraud and money laundering. The investigation had started well before Michael's death, and I will get into all of the details of this in just a moment because I have to tell you what she did the next day.
God.
She filed bankruptcy.
Dumb bitch.
And I don't know if she thought it would get her out of trouble, make it harder for them to prove her case. I don't know her entire thought process, but at one point she does say that she filed the bankruptcy because when they filed this case on her, they seized, like, they froze all of her money and her assets. But, like, and so she couldn't pay her bills or any of that or her creditors.
Mm-hmm.
So she had to file bankruptcy. But she literally did it the next day.
Like,
Unless they froze it before this and they, like, just announced it then. But still, like, it wasn't enough time.
I don't know. Also, do people not realize that, like, filing bankruptcy isn't a fix all your problems solution? Do you know how many problems filing bankruptcy causes for you, like, down the road?
I declare bankruptcy.
I didn't just say it.
I declared it.
But no, seriously. Like, there's other options out there before bankruptcy.
And sometimes that is, like, the best option and stuff, but, like,
It's
not going to fix this problem.
It is so rough on your life, though. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it seems okay, but, like,
The
you're
build-up
fucked
back
for at
afterwards.
least 10 years, if not more.
Yeah. So, she files for bankruptcy. And let's also go back to all those scholarships.
Yes.
She just promised to 8 different kids.
Including her nieces.
Yeah, so those scholarships obviously are not going to happen. But some of those kids turned down scholarships because they were accepting this. Some of those kids were already given scholarships that they returned and could not get back now. Some of those kids completely changed where they were going to school because they could afford something better now. And nothing. Those scholarships were completely illegitimate. And West Virginia University actually confirmed it, that the scholarships were never legitimate to begin with. Yeah. And that's just the beginning. So, in her bankruptcy filing, now this is going to be a lot of numbers, but I need you to keep in mind, we have a pharmacist and a youth coach in a small town in West Virginia. Now, I'm not saying that you can't make money, but in about roughly 2 years, in her bankruptcy filing, she listed her assets of $397,000 with liabilities of $1.4 million. She listed $89,000 in wages from 2017 and self-employed salary of $200,000 in 2018. She listed her current monthly income as $502 in food stamps. And among the 29 debts and creditors listed in the filing were $445,000 to LCF, a financing firm, $250,000 to a Premier Bank card, $81,000 to a healthcare collection service, $17,000 to Duke Health, $15,000 to Sunset Memorial Park, $13,000 to City Carts, $8,000 to Raleigh General Hospital, and $5,000 in 6 different claims to the sheriffs of Raleigh County, and a variety of other amounts less than $10,000 and nearly $134,000 in student loans.
So freaking pissed right now thinking about this.
And that's not even like all the stuff, because later on in like her bankruptcy hearing, like they get really mad at her because basically they're trying to get her in more fraud because she excludes any of the business holdings. She excludes anything that has Michael's name on it. Because I just thought I was filing bankruptcy for me because they already seized everything else by the business and Michael's already dead. So I don't know it has his name on it. Is exactly why this is the only stuff in there, because she didn't think that could count. And in the months leading up to this, she got rid of a lot of things as gifts. And you're supposed to include things over $600 as gifts when you file bankruptcy. So she like gave away a Polaris. She like gave away some jewelry. And so she gets screwed for not listing a lot of things. But the thing she does list is mind-blowing.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad. Like, okay. How do some people get money like this? Like from
I'm
banks?
gonna tell you.
No. Listen to me. From like banks and shit, because it says she owes banks.
Yeah,
And
I'm
whatnot,
gonna tell you
right?
how she did it.
Fantastic. But like, we can't buy houses.
No, I legitimately, the car that I just bought,
Yeah.
finally, after buying cars since I was 16, I finally got to buy a car without having to give a paycheck stub. I gave my name and my social and my job, and then I got a car. I even got to tell them what I wanted the car for and got the car. It took forever.
It absolutely blows my mind.
But these people can do this.
Yeah. Like,
it's like Return to Nature, how they got like $800,000 in COVID loans.
Yes. Like, to me, what it blows my mind. I'm going to go on a small rant. I'm sorry. Like, we were looking to buy a house, and they were like, "Oh, well, you guys have good credit, but you don't make enough money." And we're just like, "Okay, we can't. Like, what do you want us to do then?"
See, and mine was the other problem. Mine was we had all the qualifications.
Yeah.
I wasn't even trying to go up to our max.
Yeah.
But because we're first-time homebuyers, unless you can put down a whole bunch of money.
Hell yeah. Sorry,
it's still insane. Like a $400,000 house with like a $3,000 mortgage for us down here.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, thank you.
The thing is, like, our mortgage, they're like, oh, you can't afford paying like a $1,300 mortgage, but you're okay paying a $2,000 rent. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Anyway.
Hate America.
We digress now. Sorry. Just
Moving
finances in America. So.
Criminals.
If you haven't caught on yet.
Yeah.
TSG.
Yeah.
PSM. Completely fake companies.
Yeah.
that Natalie made up. And boy, did she do a good job, because she managed to get over 11 people, and there's more upwards of around like 20, but like we have 11 big main investors in this, to invest over $2.5 million.
Oof.
And not a single penny of it was ever invested. It was all deposited into personal bank accounts, with the exception of a few times when she used one investor's money to pay a return on an initial investor to keep the scheme going. She produced fake bank statements and government contracts, investment documents showing false data about the investments to keep investors from catching on. I mean, she was creating portfolios and quarterly earnings and statements and letters and emails that she was writing from the DOD. And
was she working full time on top of it?
No, because remember, she quit when they made these businesses.
Ugh. That's why she's working full time
doing this.
Fake letters.
So she even got 3 separate banks to give her massive lines of credits and large cash advances. She would use these cash advances to pay investors a little bit of return here and there. Mm-hmm. And she produced fake tax returns and sale documents and fake government contracts. And she would give those to the banks and investors, anyone really that needed it, for her to get money. And like, she was giving fake tax returns to major banks. Like, do you know how much... This woman doesn't have anxiety. Do you want to know how I know she doesn't have anxiety? Because she wrote an entire fake tax return and handed it over to a financial institution.
What? She has
no anxiety.
Anxiety?
Anxiety. A-N. Anxiety. Am I broken? Are you broken? Are you broken?
Who's broken?
Anxiety? These two over here, all the time, because I don't enunciate occasionally, because I talk too fast, and my mouth gets dry because of my ADHD meds. But right now, when I enunciate something, they throw a letter that doesn't exist and make me feel crazy. Welcome. Welcome to my life. Anyway, just call me Jim. So, back to what we were saying. This bitch does not have anxiety. Anxiety, every way you want to say it. Because the audacity, did I say that one right? Do we say that one together? Anyway.
Which one?
Audacity. To take and...
Wrong.
To make a fake tax return. Listen, I'm not even like confident in my tax returns that TurboTax does for me.
Same.
So, like, when I'm looking at that and I'm sending it over, I'm all, is this real?
Like, oh no, I owe you $200. I'm gonna get arrested.
Yeah. So anyway, so just, I can't believe, like, how do you have the balls to do some of these things? So, and speaking of a way for Natalie to get money, any way she could, back in June, so after the scholarship thing happened, and there were some other things happening in June that I'll tell you about, she tried to sell 49% stake of TSG for $4.9 million, with the buyer paying $50,000 up front and then $1 million a year until the purchase was complete. This sale never happened, but she did end up getting the $50,000 out of the guy. And at one point in 2018, Natalie told investors to watch the movie War Dogs as a training exercise to explain to them the delays.
War Dogs?
Yeah, and if you haven't seen the movie, I haven't. It's about 2 friends who exploit the government by bidding on military contracts during the Iraqi War.
My mind didn't even think of that one. My mind instantly thinks Lord of War with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. So, first of all, like, why would you tell your investors that? And why would you still invest after that? So, a few weeks after the federal civil case coming against her and everything getting seized in her bankruptcy, in August of 2019, the West Virginia State Police confirmed they were opening an investigation into the circumstances around Michael's death.
Good.
And this included exhuming his body in September. And his manner of death was changed from natural causes to undetermined.
Ooh.
So this is where the first autopsy happened. And findings in the Ponzi scheme investigation is what made them suspicious of the timing of Michael's death.
I have some questions before we proceed on to his autopsy first.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, that's not where we're going right now, but yes.
Fantastic. Are we talking about Ponzi scheme stuff?
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe you have your. I'm still going to ask my questions and you let
Okay.
me know. Okay. First of all, did she try to get people to um, donate money to the scholarships?
So in Michael's obituary,
Yeah.
she did request that people donate money to a Shady Springs Youth League. And I'm going to get into that in a moment because there's a
Okay.
whole controversy that happened as well in the
Okay.
town that's outside of both of this.
Fantastic.
So there was some donationing, but she wasn't really like soliciting it for the business or anything. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it makes sense. I just feel like because this woman, just wants money all the damn time. Like, why wouldn't she be like, oh, you guys should donate to the scholarships for these children
No, she said that she
and
was
take
doing
the
that
money too?
like on her own, like out of like the businesses. And where she does ask for people to donate is in his obituary,
Mm-hmm.
and it is to the youth league.
Yeah.
And while that sounds very like in honor of him, in lieu of flowers, make donations to this because he was so involved in it, it's not really that.
Great. We'll get into that then. Secondly, I'm genuinely surprised that she didn't have him cremated. I guess this is just a comment over a question.
So, in 2017, they had redone their like living
Their wills.
wills and all
Okay.
of that stuff. And so in it, she very much did stick to his wishes, which was the private graveside service, the burial, and all of that. So I believe that he had it
He
written
did
out that
actually
he
want a
was.
private graveside
I
service,
don't know if the private part of the graveside service was his wishes,
but he wanted
but
to be
the
buried.
burial and all of that
Got
was
it.
in there, and that's why he was buried.
Okay.
Because he's like in a like the pretty little marble areas, not like in
Yep. What are those called?
yeah.
Mausoleum. Because
We'll
we know
pop
you
a
can't.
picture of it up right here. See. Okay. Our producer keeps giving us a look every time we do that. I have it. Okay. So, speaking of September,
Yes.
it's also the month that Natalie was arrested in her home while getting her kids ready for school.
Bruh.
They actually like shackled her ankles before they put her in the car, and like her attorney was like, that was excessive in front of her children. They could have waited till they went to school.
How old are her kids?
So her kids are now their kids are now adults. I believe at this time they were like middle schoolish. It was very, very hard to find personal
Info on
life
them.
information on it because everything's so much focused on the Ponzi scheme or his death investigation or the upcoming trial.
Okay.
And so I actually had to reach out to people in the town, and we'll get to that. But it was just very hard to find certain things. So I'm not entirely
Got it.
sure. Like, and I'm
But they
not putting their
were-
names out here because I think they are becoming into adults, but it's just very hard to find. I know they have two children, a boy and a girl.
Okay. So my mind's thinking like pre-teens, early teens.
I'm thinking like middle schoolish because they graduated high school in 99 and they got married while in college.
Oh,
And in
then.
2010, there was like a riff with the parents over a babysitting thing. And so they didn't talk for like 10 years
Wait, when did they get
before he died. They got married in college and they graduated high school in 99. So I'd probably say like 2000, 2001. And then
Okay.
in
Since they
2010, they had a falling out with
Okay.
a parent about babysitting things and didn't talk to them for like 10 years. So they weren't at a graveside service.
And when did this happen?
2019.
Okay. So if they had, I'm just
I'm
gonna.
thinking like we're talking like middle schoolers at the
That's
time.
what I'm thinking. Like, let's say they had kids in like 07, 08 because they wanted to live lives or whatever the fuck.
They're like,
That would
put them
12,
like end of high school. Yeah,
11,
yeah.
12, 13.
They're like that age of
Okay.
that. So enough that she's helping get them ready and out the door for
Got it.
school. So she was charged with 26 felony counts related to stealing from investors and committing bank fraud. Natalie was arrested on Thursday, and the judge made them wait till Monday to see if Natalie could await trial at home or if she had to be in custody the whole time.
Eh.
And this is where the attorneys were like, they were really fighting for a decision on Thursday, but the judge was like, you can sit. It's probably because the judge had a family member who was a victim to this shit. We're in the same county. Like,
wait, is that confirmed?
no, I'm just saying, like, the judge just really was like, I'll figure this out on Monday. Like, didn't even go to Friday. Like, we're on Thursday.
Yeah.
He could have continued to Friday.
Yeah.
The judge continued to Monday, so I can only imagine it as a, sit.
Where are the kids?
So they are with Natalie's parents.
Okay.
So, on Monday, the judge decided that she could wait trial out under home confinement. And her parents moved in to help with the kids, and so she could actually stay in a home and not in custody because she had to be living with somebody else. But the burden on her parents was too large with her not being able to be allowed to leave the house. So in December, the judge changed it to home detention so she could take her kids back and forth to school and activities.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really like that, but whatever. So we're going to go ahead and jump ahead a year to September of 2020.
Wow.
Nothing really happens in that year. Like, Natalie's just in jail. So, like, or no, she's sitting at home. Like, they're gathering everything to get to where they need to go to. So Natalie pled guilty to 1 count each of wire fraud and money laundering. And she agreed to 11 years in prison and to pay $2.6 million in restitution to her victims. She will make payments of $500 a month once she is released from prison. Attorneys initially wanted it to be $1,000 a month, but the judge was like, "Oh, we have to be realistic, guys. That's not realistic when she first gets out of jail. Do you want it done?" So they put it to $500.
She's going to be paying these people for decades.
Yes.
Well, can you do that math for me? Just because I'm so curious how long that's going to take.
And victims?
2.5 mil?
2.6 million.
Oh, 2.6.
$500 a month. So victims of the Ponzi scheme were actually allowed to speak at her sentencing.
Including his parents.
Yeah. Oh, well, I also have, like, just statements from them in general. So Natalie told the court that she had committed these crimes because of Michael. She went on to say how Michael was physically and emotionally abusive due to his abuse of steroids. She talked about how he once took a sledgehammer to the furniture in the house and how she started finding herself giving into anything he wanted to protect the kids and herself. And what did she claim Michael wanted the most? Money. He was only happy the more money he had. She went on to say that all the cars and toys were manuals, so she couldn't drive them. It was all for him. She took 1 vacation and occasionally took her kids out to eat. It was all for him. But investors told the court that Natalie was the one who approached them. Natalie was always the one sending documents and statements and emails. And speaking of investors, remember the friends that came by the house, that state trooper and the EA? They were also victims of Natalie's Ponzi scheme.
Bro, the fucking balls to be like, "Hey, Mr. Police Officer, do you want to invest in this totally legitimate business?"
Right? A state trooper?
Damn.
Are you serious?
Damn.
So, speaking of things Natalie was doing all by herself.
Yeah.
Before Michael's death and well after, Natalie served as treasurer for the Shady Springs Youth Baseball League.
It's kind of ironic that it's called Shady.
Yeah. Michael was a coach during this time. And during this time, money was going missing and unauthorized charges were being made.
Only for the baseball team?
Yeah.
Not the youths.
So, yeah. And then, like, a lot. So, only Natalie and another league officer were authorized to make purchases on the account. And they did this fundraiser, and it raised over $30,000.
Holy shit.
But only $16,000 was donated back into the league account, and it was written from one of the TSM accounts. And wouldn't you know it, the check bounced. And the account was already in the negative when this happened. So Natalie made a deposit of $2,500 to get the account back in the green.
Yeah.
And then move the account to a different bank. So then all the banking activity would only be sent to her. Wow. And then the charges. So at one point, she spends like $7,000 at a sporting goods store, but it's not for baseball. It's all football equipment. Another time she's spending money and it looks like it's sports equipment, but not for the baseball team. So
I don't understand.
she's just using this account and does, okay. She just is making random purchases like Amazon here, or she'll do a sports thing over here, or this over there, or $2,500 at like a Shields type place.
Yeah.
In coolers and other things. So like you would think for like on the benches and stuff like that. It was never approved.
Okay, but like...
And all these things are supposed to be voted on by the board.
Okay.
None of it was voted on.
I just don't understand. Like, why would she buy football stuff? You just buy baseball shit. Because, like, what are you going to... Did she just, like, keep the receipt and return it?
No.
And then pocket the money? Because...
No, like, even looking at the transactions, it's crazy. So, like, also, like... And the charges, like, after she moved the account continued, but they were crowdfunding. Like, to crowdfunding sites. Or GoDaddy transfers. Or, like, transfers to TSM and TSG from, like, the youth account, like, back and forth. And by the time that the feds froze that account in June, there was only $31 in it.
Oh, Jesus.
We're talking, so there was a bingo fundraiser that raised that $30,000. And I guess it was like the big prize for it was guns. Like they donated guns and that's what people like were winning. And that's why it made so much money.
What?
West Virginia, babe. So anyway, that and not only that, but so there was a private investigator that investigated all the Shady Springs Youth League stuff. And before that investigation started happening in like June, they had caught on to all of this stuff that was happening. And before Michael died, Michael and Natalie blamed another one of the like board members for it and ran like a whole campaign against them, and it like ruined them for a minute. Like the embarrassment and like the shame of like what that was, regardless of the whole story being out now, the damage was already done. So there was a little bit of a this was like June, and like so this has been going on December through June, because she finally like stopped in June when it all got frozen, the investigation, and then shortly after all the wire fraud charges. But it's just crazy that like you're running a whole Ponzi scheme and you're defrauding a little league. Like you're getting millions of dollars sent to you. Why do you have to mess with the kids while your husband's coaching?
I just had a thought because you mentioned there was GoDaddy transfers, right? I remember when I was a kid and I thought GoDaddy was like a porn website.
I thought it was a porn site and I didn't understand why it was
I thought it
okay NASCAR commercial.
Same. Why did we think this?
I did not understand why the GoDaddy commercials were like perfectly fine. But
I agree.
Britney Spears wasn't.
I feel the same way. Like, I swear to you, GoDaddy.
GoDaddy, it's fine. Tina, bad. Like, it was the same thing.
Oh, God. And I think also, I don't remember who it was, and you might know. Who was the...
Danica Patrick.
Thank you. I knew it was that name. In my mind, I was like, she's just a porn star, and she's...
I knew it was Danica Patrick because I grew up like NASCAR and like going to the races and watching it and everything, but it was just so like, okay, yeah. If you've never seen a GoDaddy commercial, please go Google it.
I swear
Especially the NASCAR GoDaddy commercials. Those ones were prime.
I swear it was porn though.
Yeah, and then like it was a porn site too. Like I thought it was so appropriate. I used to like turn red and like shrink into the couch when I was like, you guys, like what? Oh my God.
And then I never asked. No. Nor as an adult did I ever look into it. And then my boss in the past year was like, "Oh, go on GoDaddy and like start working on a website." I'm like, "What?" I was like, "No."
Okay. We'll go back onto it. So,
going on. Sorry.
Michael's mom, Donna,
said
that there was no way Michael knew the businesses were fake. He would never have let them invest their life savings of nearly $250,000. He knew they were close to retiring and that this was all they had. She also said that Natalie was sending them fake documents while sitting next to Michael in the hospital.
Oh, that bitch.
Natalie was even showing them a return of $290,000. Even as Michael was laying there dying next to them.
Did they ever mention anything about his roid rage?
We'll get there.
Oh.
And after he died, she still continued to lie and take advantage of her grieving in-laws. Donna said June 25th, 2019 was the day everything changed for her. That's when she was told that Michael had been on the couch for hours without adequate medical care and before finally being taken to the hospital. That's also when she found out Natalie had stolen their entire life savings.
I thought he died in February.
He died in February, but it wasn't until June when investigators came to them and said, hey,
and it clicked.
This is what, no, they came to her and said, this is what's happening. They didn't know he laid on that couch for hours. They didn't know at this point that there was a Ponzi scheme in June.
Yikes.
Yes. So
could you imagine?
They were betrayed by someone they loved and considered family.
Yeah.
I mean, they knew her since high school, a teenager.
Bro.
If you can't trust someone you've known since they were a kid and watch them grow up through all of that. Donna and Eddie said that they were once looking forward to retiring because they had finally saved enough. And I couldn't imagine saving $250,000 finally, being in my just seeing the end of it, you know.
What's
it's not
money?
It's not enough to live a lavish lifestyle in retirement, but it is enough to go on vacation, maybe to Myrtle Beach once a year, or do a little something, a weekend somewhere and not work for a while. And just hang out, maybe do a part-time job if there's something fun you want to do.
Go be a greeter at Walmart. They love that shit that I know of. Do they still have greeters at Walmart?
They do. They took away the stickers, though, those bastards.
Dude, I would do it at Costco, though.
They make bank. They make like $29 an hour.
Hell yeah, and they have those nice mats to stand on and shit, and the heaters. Ugh.
But now Donna and Eddie worry daily about money. Yeah. They live paycheck to paycheck, existing on Social Security and disability. And now they have to worry about how long they're going to work. What if something happens? So,
God, I hope any life insurance of Michael's that was supposed to go to that bitch ends up going to...
So she hasn't seen any life insurance money.
Good!
So, because there's something with, like, the hospice and, like, something else that, like, stopped it. It was weird. Something was written in it weird. And so the life insurance, I remember reading, just made me really happy.
Okay.
And I would like to say that Donna and Eddie got the worst of this.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
They're not the ones that got the worst of this?
No. One victim said they invested $600,000 so their seriously ill daughter could have money set aside for her care. Another victim invested after only knowing Natalie for 3 months. She said her son needed a major operation that required a year-long recovery. Natalie wrote 2 checks that both bounced and left this mom and her 13-year-old in extreme financial hardship right after a major surgery. The checks didn't bounce until after the surgery, and she was already in the situation.
Okay. I understand what you're saying to me. Like, these families also, obviously, holy hell, awful. But I'm going to go back to his parents really quick. That they probably, I think they're up there having the worst of it.
They are up there.
Like, granted, the money, they didn't invest as much, but they also lost their fucking son and basically the entire family.
And they are there, but I mean, in terms of the amount of money invested and the situation, it just... She was taking advantage of not only the people in her community that she knew and trusted her, but she was taking advantage of people that she knew didn't know any different.
Bro.
These people, remember, if it sounds too good to be true,
it is
too good to be true.
I like the level of fucking psychotic up here.
For her to be doing this, like, how did she sleep at night?
Right? So, on a very nice memory foam pillow that was or like a bamboo pillow.
Probably.
Mm-hmm. And a sleep number bed.
With the adjustable and the heat settings. So, on May 1st of 2021, Natalie began her sentence of 11 years in a federal correctional institute, Hazleton, in Bruce Mills, West Virginia.
That was all she got, right?
Yes, because it was a plea.
Okay.
For 1 count each of wire fraud and money laundering. But Michael's death was still being heavily investigated.
Good.
Remember, that's what we're here for.
Road rage!
So, November of 2021, she was indicted by a grand jury on first-degree murder charges. And over the next year and a half, the prosecution and defense go back and forth asking for continuances and blaming the other side for not getting evidence shared in a timely manner or not having witnesses ready. And eventually, a final trial date was set for May 1st, 2023. And it seemed like super solid. Gang, we were ready, right? Until April 19th at a pretrial hearing when prosecutor Ben Hatfield asked the judge to dismiss the murder charges against Natalie so that Michael's body could be re-exhumed. He needed to perform an advanced test that wasn't done the first time they exhumed him. So the judge dismissed her charges without prejudice so the testing could be done. And the defense had no problem with any of this.
Yeah, because she's not going to jail for murder.
Well, she's already in jail, so it's fine. But Ben Hatfield said, and that's the reason why he was comfortable doing this. She's already serving time in federal prison, so he can do it. Ben Hatfield said he fully planned on re-indicting Natalie regardless of the test results. He said he had enough evidence to indict her the first time. He just wanted a broader look at what happened.
He wanted to know if it took it to the next motherfucking level.
Yes. So Natalie's defense attorney said this would give them a chance to gather more evidence from the federal investigation and prove that Michael knew about the Ponzi scheme. So what was this test that needed to be done? And why wasn't it done the first time?
Yeah.
So they wanted to test Michael's tissues for insulin. And this type of testing isn't done in West Virginia on site for autopsies. So there's a list of testing that's done on autopsies on site at the locations where the autopsies are done. And considering that, yes, his body was exhumed and determined, if it's not a test that they do on site, they're not going to order special tests unless there's a reason. Somebody specifically is requesting. And at the time, there wasn't.
Okay.
So it's not a redo test. It's the first time it's being tested, just because it just wasn't one of the tests that's administered. And it's pretty standard. Like, it was said that this medical examiner in West Virginia, he doesn't do this test.
That's fair. I mean, I get it. I just feel like if you exhumed a body thinking that this person was actually murdered, that you're going to perform every test under the sun and get it into the right hands to perform all of those tests.
Yes.
But West Virginia.
Well, and just
Get
weird
your
thing
fucking
happened.
shit together, bruh.
So, well, and actually, once you see who had to do it, it might not just be a West Virginia thing. So actually, a pathologist from Texas came in and performed the test.
Excuse the fuck out of me.
Like literally, it's one of the only plate
He came from Texas.
Yes.
He was not moved to Texas.
No. Like, he came from Texas to do these tests. And what led investigators to actually test for insulin in the first place was when they were going over the medical records from February 6th, the day that Michael went to the hospital, his blood glucose level was 21. And that is extremely low. And did I mention, Michael's not a diabetic at all. So what was the exhumed autopsy report?
Wait, what is a normal glucose level?
Not 21.
Son of a bitch, and she's not here.
Should be higher.
Okay. I'm sorry. If you just
Listen,
comment, because I don't want to Google it.
My cousin, who's actually a pharmacist, lives in West Virginia and is like 6 months younger than me, has been diabetic our whole lives, and I really should know the answer to this. I'm sorry. I swear I paid attention. Honestly, until I was like in middle school, I thought that like everybody measured out their food at their grandparents' house. I didn't realize it was fair. Yeah, it took me a long time to figure that out. I just thought everyone did that. But anyway, so autopsy report. His cause of death was changed to homicide upon review by this forensic pathologist. His cause of death was due to unprescribed extreme amount of insulin in his body, despite not being diabetic. Natalie was then re-indicted with first-degree murder charges, and she had her arraignment on January 29th, 2024.
Hell yeah.
So earlier this year. And she pled not guilty. Food's here, so happy dance. Okay, so let's talk about some things that are going to come up at trial.
Yeah.
Michael's medical records and history have become a point of contention. The prosecution says that they are complete. The defense says they are incomplete. Natalie has mentioned multiple times in interviews, like with news stations or reporters, that Michael had been hospitalized a couple times in the months leading up to his death. One specific time, she talks of him being hospitalized in November of 2018 for health complications, and that's all I can really find on it. The defense says they only have records for around the time of his death, but they went up to the past 12 years because they believe the records will paint a picture of Michael's illegal drug use. Yes. And in an interview with Natalie's bankruptcy attorney, he revealed that Michael had been vomiting in the sink and actually broke the countertop when he fell having his seizure. Broke the countertop with his face.
Oof. Why is the bankruptcy attorney saying
Because it was like,
this?
I found this in an interview where the bankruptcy attorney was talking around her trial, and that's something he decided to say.
All right, man.
And it was the first time that I had heard of the hitting the face part, and then I found it in the other stuff. But it's the only place you see the part about him breaking the countertop and him I was like, that's some very weird specific information that he gave out there that nobody else was really giving out because investigators hadn't given it out. So I was just like,
but he is not her attorney for this.
No, it was for the bankruptcy. Is that so weird?
I love that you did that.
Bankruptcy hearings and stuff. So that's like while they were investigating the murder and doing the exhuming and stuff like that. So I feel like he's like trying to fill in blanks for her.
Okay, it was weird. I mean, I love that he did that, but I also feel like that might be like crossing the whole line of privacy. You know what I'm saying? But also, like, maybe he's just sick of her shit. She was like,
I think that he was trying to make it better. Like, he's already thick or something like that. Like, I think he was trying to, like, explain away for her a little bit, but he gave too much detail.
Gave a lot of detail.
So, and Natalie says there's only 20 minutes between the fall and him being transported medically. And, like, and that's what she says all the time in the very beginning. But then it goes to Anne, except her story then slowly evolves over time to she cared for him medically at the house and he was transported later. But she goes back and so when she's called out on that, she goes back and says, no. I said he had medical care within 20 minutes, meaning her friend's PA assistant and state trooper were at the house within 20 minutes. Technically, yeah. So there's like, over time her story changes, but that's how she goes back in to be like, I wasn't lying in the beginning because there was medical attention there within 20 minutes. But also,
I put a pillow under his head. So medical attention.
There were 2 witnesses in the house for this entire thing.
The children.
While the 2 witnesses are not named, I'm going to assume it is the children because they won't name them because they said there were 2 witnesses in the house the other time, as well as other adults in and out of the house in that time period. Then it was definitely
the kids.
Yes. So I'm going to assume that the 2 witnesses we will see in trial are the children because I have seen in a couple different articles that there's a witness to the actual incident of the insulin injection, which is how investigators came to this conclusion. Now, an investigator has not confirmed this. It was not confirmed in a press conference, but I have seen in an article or 2 alluding from the prosecution that there was a witness to the actual event and that there was witnesses to the whole day. So I would be intrigued to see if we get one of their children on the stand.
Okay.
So,
do you know if she gave him something to induce this seizure?
Probably just injected him with insulin, is what they're assuming.
Not like injecting him with insulin while he's laying on the couch.
No, I think that I'm going to get to that in a second. I have a theory.
Okay.
Let me finish this because I have a little theory I want to write.
Okay.
So, Michael's financial records are also being looked at hard by the defense. Okay. They are trying to prove Michael knew about the Ponzi scheme and was in on it the whole time. And that the investigation initially had aspects of it just attached to Michael, not all on Natalie or both of them together. So the prosecution has previously said that they have no evidence Michael was aware or participated in the scheme. But the defense says they have yet to be provided with Michael's complete financial records gathered during the federal investigation, which they believe will paint a much different picture than the prosecution is giving.
Okay.
And as we both know, and y'all know, trial was supposed to begin on August 12th. But in a pretrial hearing on July 23rd, the defense requested to move the trial, stating they needed more time for further testing. They say there is more items of discovery. They asked to retest certain things. And the defense also asked for a change in venue, citing the case as getting too much attention and too many people in Riley County were affected by the Ponzi scheme. And Judge Kirkpatrick agreed to everything the defense asked for and moved the trial to October 28th, 2024. And prosecutor Ben Hatfield said they will run the tests again, but there's nothing left to be found. And he also commented on the alleged new discovery, saying there's nothing new. Everything's admitted. Everything's in there. He doesn't know what they think they have or what they think is to be discovered still. And he commented that during the hearing, the judge ordered Natalie to stay in the Southern Regional Jail until her trial. See, where she's currently at is 3 hours away. So she's been appearing virtually, but they're having a lot of technical issues to where if they can't get her on the thing, then they can't do the trial or the hearing for the day. Another issue is where she's at in the jail. And I don't know why they just don't put her in a private room to do this. You can see other aspects of the jail or inmates or things on it, and they don't want that. I'm like, so why don't you guys just put her in a room that nothing else is in? I don't understand. So, it's going to be better for trial all around and to make things go. But our next pretrial is scheduled for the 8th. October 8th.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to that change in venue request because the judge did not grant that this time. And it was initially asked for it back in May.
Yeah.
And it was due to like the media coverage tainting the jury pool because it was hard. We're in Raleigh County and it's hard to find somebody whose friend, sister, cousin, aunt, uncle, whatever wasn't affected by it. But the judge said that he hadn't seen Natalie's name in the media since 2023 much, so it wasn't a concern yet. He will address this during jury selection once he can ask more specific questions to his jury pool, and if he feels that it's not okay, he's going to move it.
My own opinion on this, just because I feel like small towns, you know motherfucking everything about everyone and their damn mom.
Okay, let me tell you a fun little thing.
Tell me.
When I would go back to West Virginia and I would go hang out with like my cousins or any of like my parents' friends' kids, we would go and we'd be hanging out at a house and like an adult would walk in and they'd look at me and they're all, "What's your name?" And tell my name and they're all, or no, they wouldn't ask my name. They'd be like, "Who's your parents?" I'd tell my parents' name and they'd be like, "Oh, you're this one." And I'm like, you could have just asked me. It's like they figure out who my parents are, look at the age of the kids I'm with, and figure out which kid I am. Like, you could have just asked me what my name was.
Yeah.
It would have worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everybody knows everybody. It's going to be hard in this county.
It's going to be so hard. Or, I don't know, maybe they want to
just do it.
No.
It's, yeah. So
it's hard. That's
Michael's trial date getting changed again is absolutely devastating to Michael's parents and the family. This family has been waiting years to get justice. They are counting down the days till trial. And having to listen to Natalie paint Michael as a monster and blaming him for the Ponzi scheme and just making him into this person that he possibly wasn't. It's time to get justice for Michael.
Yeah.
Fully. And so this is where we stand. Trial is going to bring a lot of answers to questions we all have. We are working out the details, but hopefully my sister will be able to be at opening and closing.
Moved.
Yes. Well, now, yeah, as long as it doesn't get moved, but now it's a little bit better because I think that she can actually put in some time off.
Yeah.
I think her boss listens to this. Hey.
I would say
opening, closing, a little in the middle.
I would say hopefully she gets jury duty, but we already know, like, she couldn't. She wouldn't even be on that jury because
lie. Anyway,
don't do that. Don't do that.
But yeah, so hopefully we're gonna have someone at trial, and we can keep you pretty updated as trial goes on. A little live coverage of, if not little updates.
Yeah.
Recaps for you guys. But back to my little thoughts on this.
Yeah.
So with this is just allegedly what I think, in my opinion, of what happened. she is trying to build this history up of him having some hospitalizations before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's probably true. In the months before, he probably was hospitalized, but they were like just health conditions. Like
You may not
they weren't
even
on
be
strike.
that. He was a
I wonder
sport
if
guy.
he tried this. If she tried with a lower dose of insulin
Oh.
and he just kind of got a little sick and went to the hospital.
Yeah.
And then she tried it again in November and it wasn't enough. So then she finally was like, all right, let's full send this. And then that's what happened in February. Because I feel like he was asking questions in early February, but I feel like we were getting suspicious before then.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't tell anybody but Natalie before then.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought process, she possibly tried this a few times before and just wasn't dosing him high enough.
That makes sense. That actually makes way more sense than what my brain was thinking. I was like, oh, he got hurt sliding into third.
Yeah, no. So I think that this was maybe her third or fourth attempt at this, and it finally worked.
Or maybe she injected way too much. I don't know.
So
Also, I personally feel like I don't know if he actually knew about the Ponzi scheme.
I don't think he knew about it at first. I think he might have eventually. If anybody has the answer to this question, please tell us because I tried and tried and tried to find it. If my husband randomly walked into me at dinner time and said, hey, babe, we're going to create two businesses, all right? And this is what they're going to do. I would look at him and be like, are you having a stroke?
I mean,
are you okay? Like, I want to know how she presented this to him. How did these businesses really come to fruition? Because that's where my disconnect goes in convincing that he didn't know anything about it, but they made these businesses together. It wasn't a business that she was investing in with somebody else or somebody gave to her. They created these businesses together.
That makes sense. So
that's one thing that has me caught up on them talking about him not fully knowing about it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, for me, I was sitting at dinner one day and I turned to my husband. I was like, oh, hey, by the way, Jackie and I are starting a podcast. There was no leading up to it. It was just like, by the way, we're doing it on this day.
But honestly, that's not a surprise from me or you.
I know.
And also...
But it was nothing government or money related.
No, it was not. We're not making money yet, but we'd love to. Also, I would like to thank one of our listeners, Sarah. Thank you so much for commenting on one of our discussion posts. Yeah. And it was wonderful getting to talk to you and for your help. She broke out the yearbooks for us guys for pictures of Michael and Natalie and kind of gave us an idea of them growing up a little bit and who they were. Mm-hmm. So we really appreciate, and we appreciate you guys if you have personal touches or experiences with this. We want to hear you. We saw your comment. And so I was at work. I'm sorry. I was going pee at work and I read it and I was just like, I instantly messaged our group chat. Don't look at me like that. I instantly messaged our group chat. And I was like, did you see? Did you see? You should reach out to her. And she was like, oh, I already did. Yeah. But yeah, it was a great time. Yeah, I love that. So, I know that was a lot today, guys. That was a very interesting... I had a lot of people come up with. I had a lot of rants today. Yeah, we did have some rants today. We're going to... Hopefully we edited some of those down for you guys. But yeah, so that was our episode for today. And do we have a WTF this week? Yes, our producer says we do. Yay. So we'll see you again later this week for a WTF. Anything you want to add? No. Okay. I don't know. Fair enough. All right, well, we're going to go eat some lunch now. So have a great day. Okay. Okay, bye. Love you, bye.